Calling us to order. Jodine, have you taken attendance?
Yes.
Okay, great. So today we need to vote for a closed session for director's evaluation. Can I get a motion to move to closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Jodine will take a roll call vote.
Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
Trustee Hadley?
Yes.
Trustee Kleinman?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Trustee Trudell?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. We are going to recess to closed session. Back at 7. Thanks, everyone. Great. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to reconvene us and call us back to order. Jodine, have you taken attendance?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So next up, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All right, all those in favor of the agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Agenda passes. Can I get a motion in approval to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Consent agenda passes. All right, next up, we have public comments. Real quick, before we go into public comments, I just want to we have a room full of excited summer gamers here, and I want to let you all know that there is an election coming up on August 5th, and the downtown library is on the ballot. And I encourage you to check out the website from the library, aadl.org/vote, to learn more about what these two proposals are. It's proposals A and B. And August 5th, absentee ballots go out this week. So if you're signed up to get absentee ballots, you will hear about them already. And now we can do public comment.
First up is Royla.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I'm here to gain the points from the summer code and also to thank you all so much for giving your staff loose on an amazing thing. That summer game, I'm probably one of the older players, but I enjoy it immensely. I learn so much. And it kind of keeps me out of mischief during the summer. I almost wish you had a winter version, maybe shorter. But anyway, I wanted to thank you all very much for the support of that lovely program. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Sarai. Sorry.
Hi there. I'm also
Hi.
here to get points, but as I think most of us are. But I also wanted to highlight a couple things. So your Super Search badge, the fact that I can click on it and I can highlight the different words on the computer this year rather than going to the library and printing them out is fabulous. Thank you so much. Really loving that. And then also, as always, the scatter locker, one of my very favorites. So thank you for that. Love the summer game, as I'm sure we all do. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm going to take a pin because I think that's what they're there for, right?
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
Next, Adam.
Okay, last year I almost forgot the code, so I'm taking a picture this time. I'm also here to express my appreciation of the summer game and just in general all you do. Also, last summer, as I was getting involved in the summer game more than I typically had been, that really inspired me to start volunteering with you all. And this is also a shout out to Shoshana for really being an excellent volunteer coordinator. So I wanted to give her a plug too. She's been really amazing to coordinate and work with and volunteer with. So thanks to her and thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Christine.
Hi, I'm also here for the summer game, but I also really want to express my gratitude for all that you do. The summer game is always super fun for me every year. It gives me such joy, and it also allows me to explore parts of Ann Arbor that I didn't recognize were there. So I just want to say a very big thank you. I love the library. I'm always there, even not in the summer. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget the code.
Oh, yeah.
Dwight.
All right, I'm back. I was here last month, but now I get to the points. So I was one of the cheaters. I took it before the meeting started. So I was number 27. Unfortunately, I thought I was going to be the first one. But as I talked about last month, I'm a big fan of the director and his staff. The engagement is unparalleled, and you've really outdone yourself this year. It's really amazing. And like the other two speakers mentioned, I've been to parts of Ann Arbor. I've lived in Ann Arbor for 48 years, and this last week I've been to parts I didn't even know existed, to be honest with you. So thank you for that. And then also the super word search. That's just amazing how you can click and find the words. And that's, I was waiting for that, but now I can do it anywhere rather than printing it out and dragging a piece of paper around. But thank you again. And again, if there's a fan club for the director, count me in, please.
Wow.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura?
Hi, thanks again for everything that you do. I wanted to share that I work remotely, walking distance from this library, and actually come here fairly often to work. In the past, I've done co-working spaces, but it's actually really great to have a place where I don't have to spend money, that I can sit and get away from home. And so, yeah, my spot is on the second floor by the windows. Great natural light. It's right by the local history bookshelf. It's a great spot. And so the big thing I wanted to say was that I really hope any new downtown library includes great spaces to work and to study. And because it is, especially if you're not affiliated with the university, the only space downtown where you can work without spending money. And so, yeah, with that, again, want to thank you all for the great service you all provide. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, of course, I'm also here for Summer Game, but I wanted to say thank you because I was planning to make comments and I just never was able to come. But then, of course, if I get a code, I'm definitely coming. So no, thank you for that. Yeah, I just wanted to echo all of the comments about Summer Game, and then also thank you to the director and all the library staff. You create this wonderful experience and community, and I think that's really fabulous. I really wanted to just echo all of those comments, but also say, especially given the potentially catastrophic heat wave that we're in, I wanted to also thank the library for the life-saving services that you provide, not just in the summer, but also in the winter as heating and cooling spaces for everyone. I think that's really essential, and I wanted to shout that out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, these are cool pins. Okay, thank you.
Kit?
Unsurprisingly, I'm also here for points. So I am a huge introvert, and so I know it is super shocking, but the library is one of my favorite places. The summer game is my annual chance to stop being a hermit for a few weeks and get to know Ann Arbor. I'm actually from Missouri, and I've only lived here 12 years, so there's still a lot of Ann Arbor I haven't seen, and I always find new places during this game. And on a more serious note, I've noticed the Ann Arbor District Libraries are a place where the staff really tries to equalize things for everybody, so everyone can get same resources, same cold water, warm air, cold air, whatever they need, and they're always treated with respect, and I really admire that about you guys, and I hope you keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter?
Hi, all. Thank you. My family and I, we love the library. We love the summer game. We think it's one of the coolest parts about Ann Arbor. My toddlers point out the signs now. So it kind of makes the city magical for them in a way, like the little fairy doors people put in front of their trees or shops. Thank you for all you do. I'm excited to vote on A and B in August. And when you build the new library, I second what the person said about making sure that there's space that act as cooling zones in the summer and places for people to get warm in the winter. When I grew up in LA, we had, today reminds me of the whole summer of growing up in LA. And that's where we went every day was the library because we didn't have air conditioning in our house. So that's really important for people moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Helena?
The summer game is awesome this year. The thing is, I know that there's been like a map of where the lawn codes are sometimes, and I think that a great addition to that would be to have a point heat map that would show how many points are in this area. It could.
Nods behind you.
For example, it could at some of the Summerfest events, I know Eli was there, and it could definitely show that, hey, there's 1,000 points walking around at this Summerfest event. This is a place where you can get points, and it could show the locations of buses with summer game codes on them. But it would also provide a way to find out how many points are in an area that you might be in, and it would let you plan which libraries you should go to first for points, and create a path of libraries to go to get as many points as possible in a single run.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think for anyone watching online or after the fact, there were a lot, the audience, a lot of nods of approval from that suggestion.
Baby steps.
Mary?
Hello, thank you. Thank you for the summer game. I go to a lot of libraries. So I grew up in Lansing, so I go to the Lansing, the East Lansing, and the Okemos. I have family in Kalamazoo, so I go to Kalamazoo and Portage. I actually live in Marshall, so I drive an hour to get here. So I go to Marshall and Battle Creek, and I've been to Ypsilanti, but my favorite library system is Ann Arbor, so that's why I come here an hour away from my house and leaving my cat alone to be here, because the summer games, the books, just the ability to chill out, to read, to try something new, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's it?
All right, thanks so much. Next up, we have the financial report with Eli.
All right. The financial reports begin on the page marked 33 in your packet. I just want to point out we're at a very normal point in terms of our cash for the year at this point. And you can see the line is pretty much where it has been in the prior years. So we're in a pretty similar position, except when we have had a major capital project that we were holding onto money for. So our actual receipts has been $1.8 million a month. And so far we have received receipts less refunds are just over 100% of the budget. That's as of the end of May, so we can expect that to be slightly more by the time the June financials roll in. Our unrestricted fund balance, $7.8 million as of the end of May. That funds almost 5 months of the operations. And as we've been talking about, we are expecting to request a transfer of this year's operating surplus to the Capital Projects Fund after the audit is completed this fall and we know exactly what the final surplus is. If you'll turn to page 34, our total revenues, we have received 93.6% of our budget after 91.6% of the fiscal year. Because our property tax revenue is broken up into 12 equal chunks, the fact that that's running ahead at all means that other revenue has brought in more than we were expecting, which is great. Year-to-date expenditures, 82% of the fiscal year after 82% of the budget after 91% of the fiscal year. So that brings us to an operating surplus of about $2.5 million for this fiscal year. And that resulted in an increase to our cash on hand of $3.7 million since June 30th. On page 35 is a list of the current funds. We are expecting a gift from the Friends of AADL. That should be coming in the next week or so to finish out the fiscal year. And that should be arriving soon. Then we'll skip to page 37, just looking down again at 91.6% of the fiscal year, which are over and which are under. You can see we've had a little bit more penal fines than we were expecting, which is nice. Penal fines are basically all the tickets that are collected inside our district. So you can take a guess at what it's going to be, but you don't know for sure. That's in the Michigan State Constitution, that any penal fines collected with inside a district go to the library. Copier revenue, a little bit higher, but that's a very small amount of money. Library fines and fees, pretty much right on the money, which is good to see. Non-resident fees, a little bit more than we were expecting, also nice to see. So that brings us to a total of 93.6% of the budgeted revenue. And you can see our expenditures. Employment is at 83.8. Particularly benefits is low, and that was, benefits is a smaller percentage of the budget having being spent. If you might recall, last year, benefits were real close. And so we adjusted the way that we budgeted it, and we've pretty much bracketed it now. Last year was a little too low, this year was a little too high, next year will be right in the middle. But that's why we will be proposing some transfers from the benefits line to other lines later in today's meeting. And then just looking down the line here is what some of the lines we'll be asking you to transfer to, mostly small ones. Copier expense, legal expense just a little bit over. Postage a little bit over on a very small line. Repairs and maintenance a little bit over as well. We'll talk some more about that later. But overall, we're in a very strong position and should be able to make a nice transfer into capital fund after the audit is complete. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Eli. Next up, we have committee reports, and I just realized I left my notes on the executive committee in the other room, but I'll see if I can do it from memory this time. We talked about some personnel matters. We talked about the election that is coming up that I just mentioned. And there was the third thing.
This talks about some room use changes.
Room use changes, yeah. Some just procedural stuff, nothing that's going to come to us as a policy. And that's it for executive committee. Next up, we have budget and finance with Lisa.
The Budget and Finance Committee met twice to review the performance of the library's investments that are held by two different banks, Bank of Ann Arbor and Eli.
1834 Old National.
Thank you, 1834 Old National. They were good meetings. I think the overall consensus was that the library is in really strong position right now, and that's what we did.
Great, thanks. And facilities committee with Scott.
Yep, we met on the 3rd. And our two topics of conversation, one we'll get an update on tonight, which is the update on the exterior and structural system. So as of the 3rd, we were talking about contracting with O'Neill to kind of manage all of the work that's going to need to be done to repair and hold the bricks onto the side of the building so they don't fall off and keep us all safe while we plan for the future of this building. And I'm sure we'll hear more about that later. And then we talked about progress on planning for expanding the parking and pouring the pad for an outbuilding at the ELF, which is the archives facility out in Scioto Township. And as of the 3rd, the thing we're waiting for is get approval from the township so we can go out to bid. So I'm sure as that comes back, we'll be expecting to see the bids for that work in a future meeting.
Great, thanks, Scott.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What does ALF stand for?
Archives, Acquisitions, and Logistics Facility, 2 A's. Yes.
Archives, Acquisitions, and Logistics Facility.
Also known as the building formerly known as the plaza.
It's not on the website that I could find.
That's right. We want to make sure that people aren't confused about it being a library branch at this point. However, this summer, we're going to be experimenting with some public services out there as we're making a major change the way people pick up their prizes. Okay? And this is just a very sneak preview here. But basically, we no longer have room behind the desk for everybody's prizes also. So once your prizes arrive, you'll have a week to pick it up. And you'll get notified. Then it will go back to the ALF and wait for you to ask for it to be resent to have another week to pick it up. Or if you don't want to wait, you can go out to the ALF and pick it up either on Saturdays when the Friends Bookshop is open or at other times during the week when we have staff in there. So we'll have more information about that, slowly stepping in the direction of having some more public services at the ALF. But we don't want anyone to confuse it for a library branch yet. We'll get there.
Oh,
Thank you for the question.
Other questions? Okay, moving on to the library report with Eli.
Okay, so if I can bring my slides up on the screen here. Here's our report for June 2025. All right. First of all, here's the code for attending the meeting. For those of you who are watching online, you can enter the code sounding board and receive 100 points for attending in person the meeting or watching it online. But you have to come in person to make the comment and get the very valuable 1,000-point code that is on the lectern. All right, so stats of the month. Here we have summer game stats as of the second Monday of the game, compared over the past several years. And, you know, all of us working on the game are like, we think it's bonkers this year. Is it bonkers? It is bonkers this year. We already have 11,000 players playing the game after just 2 weeks. Last year, we hit 14,000 by the end of the game. So that's up 33% compared to the previous year, second Monday of the game. Points earned is way up, almost double the amount of points. However, there's a big part of that is because this year we launched lawn and library codes on the first day of the game instead of a week later. So there's been a lot more time to do that. But still, this is the numbers. But I am delighted to see badges, which is about the same number of badges that we've dropped as we did last year. 40% increase in badges on a 33% increase of players, which means the players are more engaged than they were the previous year. And of course, because lawn and library code started a lot earlier, a ridiculously huge percentage of it. But that's 1,839 library and lawn codes as of this afternoon. Last year, we hit about 2,600 by the end of the game. So we expect that to blow that out of the water by the time we get to the end of the year. So it's not just you. Summer game is absolutely bonkers this year. And thanks to everyone who's been working on it and all of our players for your enthusiastic engagement with this library program. All right, so here's some event reviews here. Going back to last weekend, June 14th and 15th, or 2 weekends ago, the Ann Arbor Comic Arts Festival returned to the downtown library. We had a total of 7,234 attendees, including the Michigan Theater and the 2 days of the show. So it was just an absolutely packed day. The Michigan Theater, we had about 505 people come to see Raina Telgemeier and Scott McLeod. It was a wonderful talk. They did a really terrific talk, and also talked about, we'll have some more information on social about this, but in Raina and Scott's new book, The Cartoonist Club, which is about a bunch of kids who learn to draw comics at their library, at the end, the last chapter, they go to the library to a comic convention to show their work, and that library is the Ann Arbor District Library. It is very clear, the cameo that the library plays. If you look very closely, you can even see me standing at my normal spot back there in the back.
Notice that.
So it's very delightful that Raina and Scott chose to include AADL in their book, and we are thanked in the acknowledgments, lest anyone claim it's just a coincidence that the building happens to look just like ours. So thank you to Scott and Raina and to everyone who participated in A2CAF. A big success for everyone involved. Make Music Day was just this past Saturday. So this is something we've been working on for a few years. This is the first year that it landed on a Saturday. So we were able to really go all out, and it was a big success. 35 different venues participated all around the town, 60 different performances all around town. You could see all kinds of cool things going on all over the town. There was a parade on Main Street. I participated in that parade, with my sousaphone. As also, you can see the debut of the new AADL flag that is now available from the Friends. You can purchase your own AADL flag to hang outside your house, and that was flown to lead the parade, led by Ross Huff, local musician. It was called the Ann Arbor Athletic Advancement Association Marching Band, was what Ross called that program. And so that was a very cool thing, and that was a big success. Next year it'll be on a Sunday, so it should be another big, exciting event. After that, while the day of the week will be on a weekday, we're likely to choose that Make Music Day is on the weekend closest to that, because while this started in France, these are things that work best in America on the weekends. So AADL and the Summer Festival, our process of partnership has continued. So Squonk was just at the top of the park the past couple of nights. Absolutely ridiculous and incredible, engaging show. You can see their terrible misuse of a sousaphone bell hooked up to a leaf blower. But man, they certainly earned it. They did an incredible show. Very cool. If you missed that, you might check my social media. I posted their final puppet. They have a giant human head with steam shooting out of its ears. It defies explanation. We still have a couple things left. We have printmaking will be this Thursday on June 26th. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 7, 8, and 9 p.m. will be Matt Sandbank, his Shadow Puppets. He was at Top of the Park a couple years ago, and those just a hilarious and very engaging show. So that's still coming up. We want to thank everyone who participated with all of our various shows at Top of the Park so far this year, including we had World Famous Trivia, we had Nerd Night, and then we sponsored last night the Balkan Paradise Orchestra, as well as Gemily, and the previous week, Little Miss Anne. So just lots of great stuff going on at Top of the Park. Thanks to everyone who attended that. Some of those shows had 1,500 plus people at them. So it's a big success at Top of the Park. Here's some big summer game dates coming up. On June 25th is the first summer game mixer that's later this week. July 11th, the summer game shop opens. As everyone in the room has certainly discovered, this year you can see everything that's going to be in the shop before you have to start buying. So you get a chance to preview it, see everything that'll be available and how many points it will be. And some items this year will be limited stock. It's thousands of items, but it is limited. So if you want to, don't wait. If there's something that you want and you have the points, we encourage you to order it when it becomes available. Also then on July 26th at Vets Park, the Summer Game Spectacular. Great chance to get a lot of codes. August 15th, we'll have the artist of this year's Summer Game art, Meg Lewis. They will be visiting. On August 22nd at Yost Ice Arena, the Summer Game Skate. We had over 600 people attend that last year. That was a big popular event. That is a free skate, and skates are free too. So we encourage people to come get a chance to try out ice skating in the middle of summer. And then August 24th is, of course, the Game Over Gala, this year featuring the return of the points auction. Last year, we had some items sell for over 1 million points. So save up those points. Those of you high rollers, be ready to spend big at the auction at the Game Over Gala. Here's some new ADL releases. The Your Dream Library submissions are rolling in. Many designs are hung up at our libraries. Here's a few selections, a couple of our favorites. You can see there, the second one is a cat library by someone suspiciously named Molly, who submitted it. You can also see a wonderful roller coaster library there and a space library, all kinds of great ideas coming in. And we'll be highlighting more of those. And there's a Dream Library category in the Lego contest this year. So we're looking forward to seeing some Lego libraries at the end of the summer. AADL in the news, American Libraries Magazine did a piece on public library publishing groups featuring Fifth Avenue Press authors Leanne Su of Peri Peri Paprika and Michelle Yang of Phoenix Girl, and that was great coverage in American Libraries, which is the official publication of the American Library Association. So it's great to get coverage there. Also, our Jocelyn Benson event in May was recorded by C-SPAN for Book TV, and they just aired it in June. It's the third time in the last year or two that C-SPAN has visited the downtown library to record an author event, so that was great to see. And also, our AADL staff visited nearly every Ann Arbor public school this spring to tell them about all the great things happening at AADL and talk to them about the summer game. Pictured here are Christopher and Alex visiting King Elementary. We had a fabulous and joyful AADL school visit at King today, emailed school librarian and webmaster Katie Fitzpatrick Burrell. And another amazing project is that a class at Pioneer High School and a school in North Carolina did a video exchange program, and this is through the Smithsonian, creating and sharing videos with the theme of belonging, and one of the Pioneer videos is about AADL. And it's about 5 minutes long, and I think what we will probably do is show that at the end of the meeting tonight. So right before we adjourn, we'll put that on the screen so everyone can see it. All right, here's our staff spotlight for this month. This is Sarah Peltier. She's a librarian. She's worked at AADL for 9 years. She also was a PLA, an intern for us from 2012 to 2014, and became a full-time librarian in 2018. And she says, I'm geeked to help usher the summer game along each year. It might be just a game to some, but from where I'm sitting at Summer Game HQ, it looks more like a super special months-long all-hands-on-deck program that the whole community bonds over. It's worth every bit of work. I'll pin that alongside other things I'm proud of, right up there with the time I played a surprisingly convincing T-Rex in my second grade school play, and nailed it. And Sarah is one of our 2 co-producers for the summer game this year, so she has been handling lots of patron comments, making sure that all the information is organized and that everything is where it needs to go. And our summer game co-producers really burn the midnight oil all summer long. And we are very thankful to Sarah and our other summer game co-producer who's just back from maternity leave, as Emily Murphy. And we are excited to have her back and the whole team rolling. Emily is the inventor of the Super Search. And this year I also want to give a shout out to Matt Swinehart on our software development team, who developed the online version that was developed solely in-house. Turned out great, and everybody absolutely loves it. So that's been a big hit. All right, here's our mention of the month from Bria Clark. Gotta brag on my newly adopted city for a second. The library scene is like nothing I've ever seen. I'm sitting in Pittsfield, had to scramble for a place to park and sit. Mallet stays busy, and Club Westgate is what I used to do in Barnes & Noble back in the day. Sip coffee and people watch. Y'all sure know how to library, and it's fantastic. I also just wanted to mention one thing I forgot to mention, include in the slides, was that I was on Stateside on Friday on Michigan Public to talk about the summer game, and that will hit their podcast tomorrow. And big thank you to April and everyone at Stateside for having us on. Many of the Stateside staff are big summer game players, so they were excited to do that. And there's a code that you can only get from listening to Stateside. And hear that and get, it's worth 500 points, so a little bit more than a normal code. So I encourage you all to listen to Stateside, hear me talk about it, and get that code as well. Here's our compliment of the month, a patron compliment to pass on regarding the newly redesigned downtown kids room. The lights near the study corrals are way better and brighter. The patron came to the desk and exclaimed, "You guys did a great job on the lights over there," pointing towards the study rooms over there. And that was something where when we readjusted the shelves, the lighting in the ceiling didn't quite line up anymore. So we quickly put out a number of new can lights over there to make one of the darker spots of the shelves a lot brighter, and everybody's been enjoying that. Here's our complaint of the month. Patron with 2 preschoolers wanted to pass along a suggestion to not make the iPads the main focus in the kids area. They mentioned multiple branches. They understood this is an accessibility thing and agrees it's important to have iPads, but asked if they could have timers on them, and the Malletts Creek kids area has been full the past hour, and most kids have been on the iPads the entire time. If they could be located in a separate space where they aren't the focus of the kids area, they wish that the books and book displays could be the focus. And, you know, we hear this from time to time, and we know that it can, we never want to provoke conflict in a family at the library, but it's ultimately up to the family what their decisions are, and we want to make sure things work for everyone. And one of our values is accessibility for all, and the access to the iPads is a big part of that. And while, you know, it's also, as a library director, I'm delighted to hear we've deployed a service that is so popular that you can't get your kids away from them. So we're sympathetic, but it is something to always work with one family, and also something that really applies to a fairly narrow age range, and that it's something that the kids fairly quickly age out of and move along to. So thank you for the feedback, and we're always interested to hear that. And that's it for the report for this month. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Eli. Next up, we have, going to old business, update on the exterior and structural system of the downtown library with Len.
Good evening, long awaited. So I think we're officially calling this the masonry veneer temporary restraint now. It is no longer Frankenstein stitches. So we received the drawings from Terracon. They were approved by the structural engineer. I've shared those with O'Neill. Nicole Wallace we've worked with, she went over everything, created a budget for us to see what it looked like. We have that number. It's $156,071. It includes all the permitting, the bonds, all sidewalk closures, the lifts we're going to need, plus labor and equipment for the crews. What I'd like to do is award them the work, have them go to bid, present us with their preferred contractor, bring that back to you all for a vote, and then we would award the work to the contractor we see the best fit for the project. Is there any questions about it? I've seen the drawings. I think we shared them at Facilities Committee.
You explained at Facilities Committee why that process makes sense. Could you just explain that again?
Yeah, so they basically inherit all the risk, right? You have the permitting part, you have the sidewalk closure, there's a lot of risk involved there. You have the equipment rentals, it's a pretty big lift to get to these places of the buildings. Anytime you're using that big equipment, there's risk involved. When you get into something like that and you're that high off the ground, I think you use the other people's insurance, honestly. It's the way to go. Then they do this, they're bonded for all of this, and they know all the safety procedures too. If you try to manage this in-house, OSHA comes by and you're doing something just a little wrong, it's a big problem for us when they manage this every day, and they have their safety trainings every day. So this type of work, when there is that much risk even to the workers on the job, it's smart to go ahead and have that extra cushion for us.
And O'Neill will be putting those out to open bid.
Yes.
For any trades to bid.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Any concerns with that before Len proceeds?
And so there's a fixed price that they.
It's basically when they do this, it's like a not to exceed. You know, so it's for them, and they do this for us all the time. They have a line item for their permitting, their bonds, their general conditions, which would be the barricades, the lift, sidewalk closure, any permitting through foreclosures through the city or DDA. They have what their allowance would be, what they've budgeted for the vendor, and I mean, it's O'Neill. They've input what their overhead and profit would be plus their contingency. So everything's it is a not to exceed number basically.
Great.
Right, and my understanding is it's just complex enough of a project that it makes sense to like have somebody else with the experience to kind of coordinate and manage.
Yeah,
and
we do.
And we have a good relationship with O'Neill and work with them on other projects.
Yeah, there are several projects a year we do in-house. They're all pretty much low risk.
Right.
You know, I think if you're getting a 100-foot lift, that's kind of the threshold where do you want to manage that risk?
I think we've been working with O'Neill since shortly after this problem was first identified, so I feel really confident that, you know, they know the problem better than anyone else, and that this is likely, you know, a less risky and more expeditious path forward. I'll note too, for anyone listening, you know, I think the number that's been quoted can sound large, but that is consistent with what we thought this might cost as we've been talking it over the last months, year, how long at this point?
just about a year.
Yeah, just about a year.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that number is, you know, kind of consistent with what we were expecting and planning for. And I think it's a good reminder. We heard a lot of comments early on in this meeting about the importance of this building in terms of providing heating and cooling services to the community and enabling staff to provide, you know, some of these wonderful programs and services. And, you know, this is a lot of money we're putting into not fixing a problem, but just mitigating it. And I think it really underscores the need for us to really start moving forward on a new building.
Yeah.
I know this doesn't help, but I had a bigger number in my head. I did. When I received it, I was pretty comfortable, you know, because you don't know when you get into some of this. When it goes through the structural and back, how high are they going to go, all those types of things. And this is basically a 7-foot ribbon around that section of the building. So I was content with the number.
Yeah.
I'd
And-
like to note, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
There's no real way around that.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to secure the masonry and make sure that it won't fall off.
Yeah.
And there's just not a cosmetic way to do this, but.
Yeah, Eli called it snow fence, and it's not that far off from that. So your orange snow fence and then a stainless steel ribbon, 6 foot on center, all the way around the building is what it looks like, so.
Yeah, and I'll note, you know, the problems are not only outside. I think as we were walking into this meeting tonight, there was unexpected leaking in a ceiling tile that then had to be removed, and there was like water coming into one of the spaces in the building. So it's a perpetual challenge. So thanks for all your work, Lynn. We really appreciate it.
It's been a day. It's going to be good.
Can I ask how long the repair might take them, or do they not have an idea on that right now?
This one, I don't have an answer. I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to take very long.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
once they get going, I'm going to say 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad.
Not a lot. They could probably, it's going to be anchoring those sections up. This isn't a
Yeah.
heavyweight material, so as long as it takes to anchor those stainless steel ribbons. So
Okay.
I would say 3 to 4 weeks probably.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad. Okay,
Does
thanks.
the
2
recent
weeks.
weather
2
or
weeks.
heat we're experiencing have any impact on completing the repair? I mean, in terms of even materials and,
Not for this one. I mean, there could be a day like today, they might choose to work on the shaded side of the building. But the only thing that would stop them would be rain, lightning, or heavy wind.
okay.
Even a light rain when you're doing the masonry work, it's actually a little better because you're not creating dust and all those things, and you don't have to use different power tools. So I don't think a lot of weather days would be on this one.
Okay, thank you.
And what's the timeline?
Well, we'd go to bid, and I think that I'd want to have that conversation with O'Neill, how long they want to. Like, we want to have it public, so they'll do their part. We'd probably ask them to put it out on the Washtenaw Contractors Association site, so it is public, and then ask them what they think. Should it be a 2-week, 3-week, or 4-week? Probably something in there. I'd probably suggest 3 weeks on this to give, enough time to get the word out. But this last time we've used Washtenaw Contractor Association to post for us, we got quite a few responses pretty quickly. So if we use them, I think 3 weeks should be okay. And we can still get this done before fall.
Great.
Awesome. And this isn't a vote, right? We're just like hearing
Yep.
how it's going, and then we're good.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Thanks,
Okay.
Len.
Thanks, Len.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we'll be bringing the bids to the board to vote on. This is just direction to Len to proceed.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks,
Perfect.
Len.
Thanks, Len.
All right, next up, we have update on rezoning and redevelopment of the downtown library with Eli.
Okay, I am happy to report that at the June 7th City Council meeting, City Council voted unanimously to rezone this property, and it is now the 3 parcels that make up the downtown library. This site and then the parking lot is actually 2 different sites from when there were former businesses on those. So those 3 parcels together are now zoned D1. It shows in the city's GIS as being zone D1, so it's all caught up. And now we are able to move forward with that behind us and the ability to develop partnerships that would involve private housing above a new downtown library. And I just want to take a moment to stress that the library's plan is to hold the property it stands on now. If the voters approve the transfer of the air rights on the lot next door to the library, our plan is to hold those as well. And that the library would be the holder of those air rights, and that the only thing that would be sold is the air rights above the library. We will not be a tenant in someone else's building. The library will be the building standing here, and we will have upstairs neighbors who we have selected. So I just wanted to be very clear about that. And we're in a really good spot to move forward, and we will see what happens in August and take next steps from there. Any questions?
Were there any concerns that came out at the city council meeting?
No. When we were before Planning Commission, they asked, would the library sell the property? And I said, well, we could, but we will not. We are committed to the downtown library. But we could have sold this property at any point since we separated from the schools and bought out their interest in 2016, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like we own this property, but the library, as we've said, is deeply committed to this site and this location. It is the perfect location for a new downtown library, and we are deeply committed to a new library on this block. And anyone who says otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about.
Excellent. Thanks, Eli.
Thank you.
I'd like to just say, as a board, we also really support that vision. So just want to second that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if I might add so briefly, I think when it comes to questions about the library as a steward of this sort of public space and experience, we have repeatedly shown through examples with the summer game, as well as just our general reputation, that we are a fantastic, trusted partner in this way and continue to be a pillar of our community. So I agree with you that we could, but we, of course, would not. We wouldn't want to waste the goodwill.
Well, we are, as Josie would always say, we're in the catbird seat.
Yes.
You know, we have the dynamite location for a new downtown library, and why would we consider anywhere else?
Yeah.
And, you know, another thing that I've heard a little bit is people saying, well, this sounds complicated. And it's like, yep, sure is. Good thing the library's specialty is complexity. Have you played the summer game? You know, we excel with complexity. We manage collections of hundreds of thousands of different items, multiple overlapping systems. We have multiple relationships with, we partner with a huge number of nonprofits in this community, and that is complicated. So I just want to say the library has an extensive experience dealing with highly complicated deals, highly complicated situations, and it's where we thrive. Complexity is the library's wheelhouse.
I'd also just like to say a thank you to the City Council for their faith in us as an organization and just the goodwill that the city has had to this institution. And I'm just so excited about whatever is coming next.
It's helpful that Dharma was previously on the library board as well. So special thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Great. Next up, we're moving on to new business. We've got a resolution to amend the 2024-2025 approved budget. This isn't too long. I can read this whole one. Later on, we're going to have to take turns. The board resolves as follows: to transfer $20,000 from employee benefits to copier expense, to transfer $20,000 from employee benefits to legal expense, to transfer $10,000 from employee benefits to postage, to transfer $130,000 from employee benefits to repairs and maintenance, to transfer $20,000 from employee benefits to software licenses and maintenance. That all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved. Second.
All right, any discussion?
I just, One thing that's unique about this action that the board often takes in the month of June is that we only get one shot at this to make sure that none of our lines end the year over budget. So in many cases, we are transferring more than we think we're going to need because you don't want that one invoice that you weren't expecting to show up on the wrong day and make you over budget for the year, because this is our only chance to amend the budget. So in many cases, the finance manager made some recommendations, and I padded those out to make a little bit more, to make sure that our risk of any of these lines running over when the books are closed for the fiscal year is minimized. So as an example, repairs and maintenance, I imagine we will finish much closer to the actual budgeted number, but we want to be absolutely sure. So that's why these are conservative estimates to make sure that none of these lines finish the year over budget.
Great. Any questions? All right, all those in favor of this resolution, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? All right, budget amendments pass. Next up, we have a resolution to approve the space use agreement with Silky Grooves. The board resolves, 1, that the president of the Board of Trustees of Ann Arbor District Library be authorized to sign the 6-month space use license agreement along with the operators of Silky Grooves for a suite in the downtown lobby shops. 2, that all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Eli, tell us about this.
Yes, so we had, I think it was 68 applicants for the lobby shops. We had a staff team that went through and ranked them. First, we removed some that were not meeting the requirements as articulated. And then we had staff go through all the rest of them and rate them. And then we summarized those ratings, and we had a meeting with the group of staff to look at and talk about who our finalists would be. Then we asked them to rank the finalists. Okay, and then from that, management took that direction and then proceeded to start offering spaces. Silky Grooves is the first of the lobby shop applicants to have responded and be ready to respond and sign their agreement. They should be moving in shortly. They are a resale shop that sells records and clothes and housewares and posters. And they'll be taking the large suite down in the lobby, and they sell at a lot of local festivals like Arts Beats and Eats and the Ferndale Fest and things like that. So they're well established in the area, and they have a really cool collection of stuff. And I think people are really going to enjoy having this in the downtown library. And then we have 2 other entities that we're finishing up our negotiations with, and we'll talk about that when we get to the next one. But just as a reminder, this agreement is $250 a month for access to that space. And one thing I just wanted to mention, because there has been some questions about, like, well, why do they need a new library if they're renting out space? If you've been in the space that was formerly the Friends Bookshop that we're now dividing into these 3 spaces, that's not big enough for even our smallest programs. It is such a tiny space in the lobby. There's really very little library service that can be administered through that space. But this is a new way to develop library service. And this is something that we haven't seen in a lot of our peer institutions. And also, it's something we have a vision for in a new library. And this is our opportunity to pilot that, figure out what works and what doesn't, get the process really refined, know what's effective, so that we're going into the development of the program of a new downtown library with extensive experience in managing these types of spaces, as opposed to trying to take a guess at what it would be. So we're very excited to welcome Silky Grooves into the lobby of the downtown library, along with 2 other businesses that we will be announcing shortly. Hopefully by the end of the week, we'll be ready to announce everybody having signed their agreement. Any questions about this?
When you say program of the new library, what you mean is you go ahead.
Yes, so a program is a architectural document that describes the requirements of a building. Thank you for asking me to clarify that. Rush right over it. We have a program statement that was developed in 2018 that's pretty good, but it needs some revision. And after we're past the vote and we know which sites we're working with, updating of the library program, which is, again, is a text document that says you need this many square feet of this and this many square feet of this and this needs to be next to this, all those kinds of things. It's very similar to in software, a requirements document that says when, what your software needs to be able to do. So that's something that we will work on once we know what space we're working with. Because there are some things that are possible in spanning 2 sites that are not possible in a single site, most primarily a giant second floor for the purposes of large events and expos. So that's something that we would be looking at revising into the program statement. And like I said, that's a document. You can find it, the previous one, on the library board reports page right now.
Great. Any questions about this? All right, terrific. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Motion passes. And so next up, we're going to talk about how we approach future of these agreements. So this is a resolution to authorize the director, deputy director, or facilities director to enter into space use license agreements with operators of downtown library lobby shops. The board resolves, 1, that the AADL director, deputy director, or facilities director are authorized to enter into space use license agreements with operators of downtown library lobby shops for the duration of 1 year or less, and that all resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Seconded?
Discussion.
So what we're asking for here, because we are expecting that this to become routine, we wanted to make sure one copy of the license agreement was read into the record, which is what we just did. That document is in the packet so anyone can see what the agreement looks like. Now that that has been approved, we're asking for your permission for the senior staff, Sherlanya, Len, or I, to enter into these agreements as needed, because a possibility could be that someone suddenly moves out, we have a sudden vacancy, or that these will happen every 6 months, and we don't want to necessarily have those waiting for the next board meeting. So this is a resolution that will allow us to enter into these agreements going forward. Of course, the revenue that comes from these is very minimal for the library's revenue, and it's mostly about us choosing what will work best in terms of partnerships with the library and to be able to work with any situations that arise as they come along without it necessarily always being a board action. This is entirely optional. You could say, no, thank you. We would like these all to come before the board, and that would be just fine. So that's something that we could certainly do. But seeing the way that this is likely to go, especially these current tenants, we may choose to renew them in 6 months. We may choose to extend them into 6 months. We'll have to see how it goes. So we wanted to retain some flexibility for that to happen outside of the board meeting cycle, pending your approval.
Comments?
Yeah, I'll just say I'm comfortable with this. Like, I think we can always revisit this decision if we think we need more oversight, depending on how things go. But I trust you all's judgment, and it makes sense to streamline operationally how things are going.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it kind of the program learning and adapting as we figure this out.
I mean, to me, this feels like community partnership, right? And we don't approve every community partnership you decide on. We trust you with that decision-making process. And yes, this is a little bit different because it's longer, and it's in our building in a more like semi-permanent way. But it still feels like that's the decision-making process, which is like, is this someone we want to partner with? Is this somebody that we can feel like we have a good relationship with? And you have a much better sense of that than we do.
Are you keeping the staff that helped you put that together? Are you going to keep them in the loop on this? Just because I'm thinking about it more of just workload. Y'all
Yes.
are already doing 10 million things. And so just if we can disperse some of that weight from y'all.
Yes, the team that has volunteered will continue to be basically the jury for these
Awesome.
spaces.
Perfect.
Jodine is their landlord.
Okay,
So
nice.
Jodine's will be working
tough
directly with the
landlord.
vendors, yes,
Her
to make sure.
security background.
That's
is
right,
coming in
yes.
handy.
So Jodine is going to be their contact so
Cool.
that the day-to-day is not necessarily at
Yeah.
the senior management.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just to clarify, not in a way where y'all already do a million things. So let's disperse that out.
Thank you.
So thank you for doing that.
I'm willing to be convinced otherwise, but my initial impression is I think the language presenting is perhaps overly broad. And my concern is, I hear the points about community partnership, but I do think there are legal distinctions between what is occurring here versus what might occur if we were doing a program together. So I think maybe I have some questions that are just kind of functional or tactical. I heard that, negotiations are still ongoing with the other two tenants. So can you walk me through what you're anticipating differences in term? I'm sort of like, is every one of these space use agreements going to be identical or different? And if so, how different? Yeah. So
Great question. They will all be the same agreement. The agreement is non-negotiable. So it's really, we're just waiting to see which space do you want, working
Okay.
that out. When can you come in and sign? Those kinds of things. So we didn't want to have that keyed to a board meeting necessarily. But the document is as developed by council, there are not terms that are negotiable on that. And I think we could say maybe make an amendment or just an understanding that we will bring you in an agreement that does not match if there's any desire to depart from the agreement that you just approved in terms of the terms. I can't imagine us agreeing to that, as a management team, but we could say if that departs from this agreement, we would bring it back to the board.
Okay, so let me, just to make sure I understand. So we're expecting that any additional agreements that are signed will be identical to the one that is presented here. And if any changes or amendments are proposed, that would come to the board first. There wouldn't be someone who would approve those prior?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct, with the exception of date and which suite they're using.
Okay.
Those are kind of the variables.
Thanks, that's really helpful. I think with that additional clarification, I feel okay with this moving forward. I think my preference might have been that we could bake in some language about reviewing maybe at a regular interval, but that's not a must-have for me.
Would you feel more comfortable if there was like another thing that
I think
If
I'm
there's-
happy to take the suggestion before of like we can move forward with this and see how it goes and reevaluate, at a future meeting.
Yeah, because of the ever-present all resolutions that conflict, could always pass another resolution to say these should all be brought to the board
Yep,
at a future date, if that's what you'd like to do.
that sounds good to me. Thank you.
Great. Other questions, concerns, comments? Okay. All those in favor of this resolution, please say yes.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, this one's long, so we're going to round robin it. This is the resolution to amend and restate the Ann Arbor District Library 403B Tax Sheltered Annuity Plan. Whereas the employer sponsors and maintains the Ann Arbor District Library 403B Tax Sheltered Annuity Plan, the plan, for the benefit of eligible employees.
Whereas the employer desires to amend and restate the plan to utilize an IRS pre-approved volume submitter plan adoption agreement and basic plan document sponsored by Journey Retirement Plan Services, LLC.
Whereas, under the terms of the plan, the employer, through its Board of Trustees, may appoint and remove plan representatives, amend and restate the plan, and delegate and transfer to third parties the authority and power to administer, amend, and terminate the plan.
Now therefore be it resolved that the amended and restated plan is approved and adopted retroactively effective as of January 1st, 2020, as permitted by the IRS, except as otherwise specifically provided in the adoption agreement or basic plan document.
Further resolved, the undersigned hereby delegates the executive director to the full discretionary authority, the power and duty to act as the plan administrator and named fiduciary of the plan with the full and discretionary power to administer the plan, amend, modify, restate, or otherwise alter the terms of the plan as required to comply with law, collective bargaining agreements, or otherwise reflect the plan design changes, appoint and remove trustees, custodians, payroll slot vendors, and other third-party administrators for the plan, manage and invest the assets of a plan, including the power to adopt and maintain investment policy for the investment of plan assets, select and monitor investment choices, including those that are available for participant-directed investments under the plan, and appoint one or more investment advisors to assist evaluating the investment performance of plan assets or educating and advising plan participants regarding their self-directed investment choices under the plan.
Resolved further, notwithstanding the executive director's amendment authority granted hereunder, the employer, through the Board of Trustees, reserves and retains the right at any time to amend, modify, or otherwise alter this delegation of authority and/or the plan, as well as the exclusive power to terminate the plan.
Resolved further, the executive director shall be indemnified by the employer to the extent permitted by state law against any and all liabilities arising by reason of any act or failure to act made in good faith pursuant to the provisions of the plan, including expenses reasonably incurred in the defense of any claim relating thereto.
Resolved further that any actions taken previously by the executive director, employer's Human Rights Resources Department in implementing the benefit design, administrative or other changes necessary to comply with recent law changes for the plan are hereby ratified, confirmed, and approved.
Resolved further that the executive director is authorized and directed to execute the plan and take such other action as may be necessary or appropriate to implement the plan or these resolutions.
Resolved further that all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded.
Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Okay. So, this sounds meaty and crazy, right? However, this is the exact same resolution that the board approved the last time that we restated the plan in 2020. So basically, what we are adding at this point is 2 new things to the plan. Nothing is being taken away. Everything that people are previously invested in will still be able to invest in. There's 2 things that are new. One is the addition of a new vendor that will allow people to invest in funds where a investment advisor is available to them through the plan. We've never had this before. It's something that is really nice to have in these sorts of situations, so that as part of your investment, it comes with someone who you can talk to help you advise with your goals, where your investment goes to. The other thing that's new is, for the first time, part-time staff will be allowed to contribute out of pocket into the library's 403B plan, which has never been possible before. The restatement of the plan is required for this. This resolution, as approved, this came directly from our council. As I said, it's the same one we did last time. And what that does is basically authorize us to submit the bulk, the volume plan, the document that states here's how it works. It's basically a giant form that says here's what the 403B plan does, here's what you can invest in, and adding these new options to the plan. Some of this stuff that sounds scary about manage and investment, the assets of the plan, including the power to, this is what goes in these resolutions, but the library does not actually hold any of the assets of these plans because it's a 403B plan. There's no pension or anything like that the library is in control of investments. All of these investments are solely in the control of the employees who have invested their money into the providers that they've chosen. So the library does not have any management or investment of the assets, even though this document says that that you are granting the executive director the ability to manage and invest that. We don't have any of those in our plan. So it is all mutual funds that people have selected or annuities, and we are adding new options to that. Nobody has to change. Nobody has to use the new services. But we were able to get to this point where it's really like modernized compared to the way that it had been for many years, so that our employees will have access to investment advice as part of their plan, and our part-timers that choose to can invest into it. So that's what it actually does. Any questions about any of that or any concerns?
Has there been interest in either of these from staff?
Yes, we've definitely heard from some of our part-time staff that they would like to invest in the plan if they could. There were some law changes that made it sound like we had to allow that, but because we're a public employer, we don't have to allow it. It's through ERISA, but we have chosen to. So that will be a new option for the part-timers. And the library will not be providing a match for part-timers or a contribution, but it is for them to choose that they can make a pre-tax contribution into the plan. The other thing that we're adding, I forgot to mention this, is this also adds some Roth IRAs to the plan, which we've not previously had. So people who are maxing out their 403B contribution are also able to make a Roth post-tax investment into the plans as well, which previously has not been an option through our plans. So it's mostly just about allowing new options, and we have had requests for some of them. We've had some requests. Generally, it comes in like when new employees are trying to figure out, is there anyone I can talk to about this, where my money should go? And their answer is no. Go find somebody. So it's very helpful and we're partnering with Charles Schwab on that so it's like a very established provider, and we've been able to get very favorable rates. So the percentage of fees is about the same for the fund that comes with the investment advice as it is for the ones that don't. So hopefully it'll be something that will be a lot of value to our staff, because of course, we work at libraries, very few of us are investment experts, right? So this is something that's very helpful for us to have access to people who are in that world and living in that world and are able to advise us on how we invest and this applies to everybody. All the full-time staff are in this plan.
That's great.
All right, are we ready to vote? All those roll call vote. All right, Jodine's going to take a roll call vote.
Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
Trustee Hadley?
Yes.
Trustee Kleinman?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Trustee Trudeau?
Yes.
Terrific. Motion passes. And now we return to our second public comment period of the evening. Do we have any more public commenters tonight?
Yes, we have one more. Abigail?
Hello. So I'm just really excited. The stars aligned. I'm very passionate about my community, and I had to go to the sidewalk meeting downstairs. I was like racing over to make sure I didn't miss it. And then I realized this was the same time, and then I could pop upstairs. And I just want to say I love our libraries. I love the summer games. I got my coworkers in Carytown. We're all like texting each other like, oh, we saw codes over here. And like, yeah, it's just really fun. So this is my first time getting the 1,000 point at the meeting, so I'm very excited.
Great. Thank
That
you.
was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Margaret? One sec.
Hi, this is my second time to one of these board meetings. Once again, I want to thank the library and everyone who works here for what they do, and I want to thank you guys for all the wonderful programs. And you guys said that you like seeing things that people made during the programs.
we
Today was
do.
sewing, and I made this bag.
Fantastic.
I think I have a ribbon at home that I will be upcycling into the drawstring, so thank you.
That's perfect for books.
Yeah, that is true. It is very true. And I will be voting yes for the new library. So thank you guys for mailing out those flyers. I would have had no idea otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. I'm going to take a picture of the points thing real quick.
Oh, yeah, do
Very
it.
fair.
What are these pins?
You can
Please
take
take
one.
one.
Please have one.
Oh, thank you.
They're for speaking at a board meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Any other public comments? No. Okay, then we are adjourned.
Well, before we
Oh, no.
adjourn, why
Oh,
don't we
yeah.
take 5 minutes
Oh, right,
and
we're gonna
watch
watch the
this
video.
lovely video?
Okay.
So we'll give them just a minute to bring that up.
I'm Caroline.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Paloma. For this project about the Smithsonian's Democracy and Dialogue program and its theme of belonging, we wanted to focus on a place where we felt like our identities were formed and where we truly felt that sense of belonging.
Our minds immediately jump to places in our community that have been present and a large part of our lives for a long time.
Something that came to mind for all of us and that we felt a strong belonging to was the Ann Arbor District Library, a pillar of the Ann Arbor community. AADL has been around and important in people's lives for a long time. The first branch, downtown, was opened in 1957, with the other 4 branches following over the years. The library's origins came from both the high school library, started in 1856, and the Ladies' Library Association, started in 1866. The high school library was part of what was originally called the Union School and later renamed to Ann Arbor High School and, when it was moved, Pioneer High School. The Ladies' Library Association was a place where people could check out books, but it also organized a variety of community fundraisers. These two combined later to create the Ann Arbor District Library.
Nowadays, AADL is still a big part of the community. People use it to find good books, to study, or even just to hang out. It hosts a variety of events and community services, including author book talks, small concerts, and story times for young children. You can also check out much more than the 275,000 books that are housed within the AADL walls, such as musical instruments, projectors, puzzles, or even a giant chessboard.
One of the largest events that AADL puts on is the annual Summer Games, where the entire community comes together under the library to enter codes and play games for points and prizes, and to do little events throughout the community. Families and local businesses alike post codes that people enter, and for the summer months, the entire community feels united under the Ann Arbor District Library.
The library has been a key part of all of our childhoods. We grew up and learned about the world through the stories held within its walls.
So we decided to try and learn about other people's experiences in the library by interviewing members of our community.
What does the Ann Arbor District Library mean to you?
To me, it means a place of connection from the time I was really young, like when I would go to play on rainy days and go to library group.
It was a big part of my childhood and memories of growing up.
It means learning.
We have 3 young children, and oftentimes through the week we're looking for more things to do and ways to educate them. And so we go to the library and we pick out some books and we read together and we explore different topics.
My mom used to take me there all the time because to get Garfield comics and stuff.
It's a fun place to meet up with my friends. The library has always been a useful and a peaceful place for me.
The calm, quiet place that was there when I needed it.
A really fun study place.
So it's something that's really powerful for my family.
It's just fun. It's just kind of fun to be there, you know.
I've been around the library for as long as I can remember. I got my first library card in 2nd grade.
As a toddler,
Longer ago than I can remember.
my baby's signature barely visible.
The only item on my sparkly keychain. And I still use that card. I spent my childhood between the walls of the library, specifically Pittsfield Branch,
Mallett's Creek branch.
Westgate Branch.
This was where I began my obsession with books.
My love for reading. My love of reading.
And thank you to the teacher pioneer who encouraged them to reach out to me to invite me to their film festival where all of the videos of their class had screened. So I showed up there and she mentioned how much it meant to them that they can reach out to adults in the community with a cold email and they will show up. So that was great to see, and thank you for them for sharing that with us.
Can we comment before we adjourn? I mean, I'll just note as a former librarian, to see students like this engaging with local history and archival material and also creating new oral histories is just really phenomenal. And, big kudos to the teacher and the school and all the participants in producing this. It's really great.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks for sharing that, Eli, and we are adjourned.